And welcome to another episode of Inside CKP. I am your host, Jeremy Como, and today we have Mr. C.S. Ferguson. Before we get to him, let's go ahead and pay the bills. This fine show is brought to you by Chris Kennedy Publishing. You can find everything at chriskennedypublishing.com, including Mr. Ferguson. Here's a book that came out today that we'll be talking about. They have military sci-fi, fantasy, urban fantasy, sprinkle of romance, post-apocalyptic, you name it, they've got it. They even have some nonfiction tutorial stuff, so go check them out. Of course, if you want to support Chris Kennedy Publishing and this show, go to their Patreon. You get lots of cool stuff when you sign up for that, the CKP Confidential and other free stuff, free content there. Of course, you can find everything on Amazon, but just go through the website. It's more fun that way. And to get into the shenanigans of CKP, you can find them on Facebook at CKP Publishing, and then the fan page is the Factory Floor, and you can search the Factory Floor and find it there. And of course, if you're into the 4HU and who isn't, you can find the 4HU fan page there as well. And if you're here, you already know this, but you can find our videos on the Chris Kennedy Publishing YouTube channel. And that is all from me. Chris, where can people find you?
My Facebook is darth.ferguson. Not super active, but that's where I am. And my Amazon, I don't have all the numbers and letters and everything memorized, but you got it. There you go. C.S. Ferguson, author, at Amazon.
All right. The C in C.S. Ferguson stands for Chris. Welcome, Chris. I really appreciate you coming on all the way from the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, so it's later in the evening for me, of course. So you are new to the CKP family.
Yes, very. This is my first book.
First book. So congratulations. Well, since we broke the seal, let's see what we're talking about. Here's the book. The Backbone of Surprise. Now that's a unique name. Where did that title come from?
Oh man, the title I believe comes from. It's going to be either Sun Tzu's Art of War or maybe Karl von Clausewitz.
Are you speaking about my pay grade, man? I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I think it comes from von Clausewitz. Actually, I believe is where it comes from. One of the famous historical tacticians.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And now I see there's another Ferguson on the title page.
Yeah, great.
Ferguson.
Yeah, that's my father.
Awesome. So, can you kind of explain the cover? What's going on here without giving away the world?
Yeah. So, on the right, as you're looking at the cover, on the right, you have one of the researchers, one of the card researchers. They are actually soldiers, but because they are all undercover, they go by researchers. Nobody ever calls them soldiers or operators or anything like that. They're never publicly referred to as that. They're always researchers, and they're always from the lab. They're never from headquarters or anything like that. And he's fighting a cyborged, genetically engineered soldier from an organized crime, very organized criminal organization. There on the left.
Oh wow, that's very interesting. So, and I saw it was the Transhuman Wars, and I figured you weren't talking about the other trans stuff. So, but so So transhuman is augmented human.
Yes.
Okay. So what made you want to write about this?
Oh man.
Cool.
Yeah. So the idea started. The idea started while my dad and I were backpacking up the slopes of Mauna Loa, a volcano in Hawaii, and we were just kind of passing time as we were passing through, like 10 or 11,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And we started talking about how in the future, if genetic engineering becomes a major thing, it's going to cause a split in the human gene pool where people who are rich and who can afford genetic engineering are going to start having kids who are bigger, stronger, faster, smarter, healthier in every possible way than people who cannot afford genetic engineering. And, we already have that to some extent. We have Hollywood, where all the most beautiful people in the world, they all go to Hollywood and they all marry other beautiful people and they have beautiful children. And those children grow up in Hollywood and they marry other beautiful people. And you kind of concentrate all the little beauty in Hollywood there. And everybody's jealous of Brad Pitt. But
he's a pretty man.
Yeah. For a 60-year-old dude, right?
Yeah.
But imagine how that would go generation after generation if people could literally genetically engineer their children to all be, that level of physicality, that level of beauty, and, that level of intellect. Not that they're particularly smart, but, somebody who's like got 14 PhDs or something like that. Now, imagine that and take it 10 generations, where for 10 generations, people have all interbred and all concentrated all of their resources into improving their gene pool like that. How is that going to set this group apart from the common people who can't afford genetic engineering? And so the conclusion we came to, again, while backpacking up the slopes of Mauna Loa, was that the only reasonable response was for genetic engineering on that level to be illegal. Because if it is legal, then you're going to cause a split in the human gene pool, and you will literally have the gods of Olympus and the common rabble. And so it's the government's responsibility to prevent that from happening. And that was kind of the core idea of this whole transhuman war. Is there are going to be people who want genetic engineering. They're going to want to throw all of their resources into this, because why wouldn't you want to improve your children? Like, I mean, from a certain point of view, that's what we do even when we're just searching for mates. You're looking for a mate who is going to be the strongest or the healthiest or the best at providing. I mean, this is what we do kind of on an animalistic level anyway. And realistically, people are going to want to do that. And some people are going to say, well, it's kind of stupid not to do that. And then on the other side, you have the people saying, well, but if you do, you have to provide it to everybody equally. So yeah, that's where it came from.
That's awesome, man. Well, and it used to be like far off science fiction, the transhuman kind of stuff, but it's not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got CRISPR, you've got Elon Musk talking about Neuralink and things like that. So if you're like you're saying, if you're wealthy, I mean, it's like sending your kids to the best school. You're doing it to get them a leg up. And if Neuralink is a thing where you have the internet, access to everything on the internet in your brain, like that, you might not be the first person to get it, but once it's proven, if you have any money at all, you're gonna get it. So this isn't that far fetched.
No, it's not. It was when we first came up with the idea. It was we thought anyway, it was pretty far out there. But yeah, it took a couple of decades for the whole thing to come to fruition. This was actually in the late 90s when we came up with this idea.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's been kind of percolating on a back burner for a long time. But yeah, back then it was like cell phones weren't a thing. Only rich people had pagers, right? but yeah, it since has become far more realistic, like you said, and so we figured, hey, now's the time, put it out there, and instead of being this wild, crazy thing that nobody can really understand, and everybody goes, it's not a big deal. Now people are going to be reading the book, going, yeah, this is a major problem. This is a serious socio-political problem here.
Yeah, it's not science fact yet, but it's getting there. It's but I hear congratulations are in order. You got an orange tag on your book on Amazon. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. It's what is it now? Well, wrong one. Yeah, number one new release in action and adventure literary fiction. And when I last looked, it was number 20. Yep, it's number 20 overall in action and adventure. So it's number one in new releases, number 20 across the board, action and adventure.
So how many times have you refreshed that today?
More times than I care to admit.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. What are you saying, Nick? Oh, imagine getting a terrible song stuck in your head and loop and a headache be seeking. Oh, he must be talking to somebody in the chat. All right. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So when because that's the thing, science fiction is only going to take you so far. You got to have a good story. And so if you can, tell me about your main character again, without giving away too much, and what that character is like.
The main character is, let's see, how to give away without giving away too much. So the main character is somebody who was born on a frontier planet, and so is not well socialized, let's say. He grew up in a mining colony, and was just he's incredibly intelligent and very physical, and was just bored to death on this mining colony and wanted to go out and do something. So he joined the military, and adventures happened. Mm-hmm. And there are tiers within the military, which, I mean, so when I say military, there is no military as you would think about it today. The human planets are unified under a single government, so you don't have, like, planets fighting planets or anything like that. But criminals have become so militarized that what we think of as the military is really law enforcement. So he joins the military, and he's fighting these rogue labs that nobody knows yet are actually part of an organized effort. These are just these kind of rogue human enhancement technology labs, and their job is to track them down and either capture or eliminate everybody there and shut them down. So they're kind of a DEA sort of thing, but instead of drugs, it's cybernetics and genetic engineering. And so that's one tier of the operation. The second tier of the operation is where the story really kicks off, when the law enforcement / military gets completely overwhelmed, because this is a lab that this criminal organization really wants to defend, and they get kind of surprised. There's a sort of a rescue / special operations unit that drops in as backup, because they're using the lower level tier as sort of a recon by force. And the main character, Digger, encounters this group when they come and they rescue him. They pull his ass out of the butt out of the fire.
Oh, we're well past the 5 minutes. Go for it.
All right.
Just away. Drop some F-bombs.
They pull him out of the fire and swear him to secrecy. And he decides, well, if this is where the real action is at, then that's where I want to go. And so he goes looking for this group.
Awesome. So is there any part of the character or characters that you kind of maybe wrote yourself in, like this is what you would do or how you think or
Oh, yeah.
act or
Yes, absolutely. So I was in the Army. I was infantry. Um, I saw enough action to know what action is like, to know how people think, how people react. Um, Sometimes how you don't think, you do, and then later on you're going, gee whiz, what did I do? I don't even remember. You're like at the AAR and they're saying, well, where did you do now? I don't know. Well, I did something and it worked, right? I didn't die. And of course, the officers who are never there, they all want all the details, and nobody knows any of the details. It's all mass chaos and confusion, and you're just running around like a murder demon trying not to die. And so, yeah, there was a lot of that in there. Coming up in book 2, mild spoiler, there were some scenes in book 2 that like I had to pour heart and soul into, and they were really, really hard scenes to write.
mm-hmm.
And they may not hit other people the same way that they hit me, but there will be people that they'll hit hard. And those scenes, like they came straight from the heart, and they'll know it. And people who weren't there and never saw anything, never did anything, or I mean, if they were there but they were fobbits, they're just going to read the scene and go, "Oh, okay, whatever, cool," and they're gonna move on. But some people will see it.
All right, we're gonna do a call back to the comment I made about you refreshing. Everybody feels what you're feeling. No judgment on refreshing. Let's see, what did the boss say? Amazon is slow rolling the updates. Oh, thanks, Nick. His comment was about the Neuralink. Let's see.
Oh, getting static
Zapped.
electricity from
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's perfectly reasonable to obsess with. No, Melissa, it's not. That's just making yourself feel better. That's all right. We got. Let's see. We have some. What are murder demons? What are we talking about here?
Oh, one of my nicknames was Big Dick Murder Demon. Yeah.
Care to explain?
Another one of my nicknames was the Fergonator.
Okay.
Whatever. I mean, I don't choose my nicknames. Like other people nickname you, and sometimes they stick, and sometimes they nickname you, and it sticks. I mean, it's there for like a week, and then everybody gets bored of it, and they move on. And sometimes somebody's like, "Oh, Ferguson's like a big dick murder demon," and I just go, "Ha ha ha, yeah, whatever." And then for like 6 months, everybody's like, "Oh, Sergeant Ferguson, yeah, that's the big dick murder demon." And everybody says, "Well, how did that come about?" I don't know. Somebody just said it at some point, and everybody thought it sounded cool, and never went away.
That's pretty good.
Like there honestly was no one specific instance where everybody went, "Oh yeah, hoorah, yeah, big dick murder demon." Somebody just came up with it and it stuck.
It stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean things like that. There are little things like that work their way into the book. I'm pretty sure that I wrote into the book. There's a part where he's in training and he starts hallucinating from lack of sleep, and some of the things that he's hallucinating were point for point what I was hallucinating when I was going through training, and we had gone like 4 days without sleep, and there was a point where somebody found me wandering through the woods, scanning back and forth, looking for my golf ball because I was like on the 9th hole or something, and I had lost my golf ball. And they were like, "Ferguson, what the hell are you doing?" So, looking for my golf ball. Duh.
Trying to play through, man.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that made it into the book. There was another time we were moving to contact. So there were 2 platoons, and both of us were just dead on our feet. And we were moving to contact. We were trying to ambush this other platoon. And we were in a Ranger file moving fast. And then I skidded to a halt. And I don't actually remember any of this. This is a story as it was related to me later. I skidded to a halt, and the PL comes running back, and he said, "Hey, Ferguson, what are you doing?" And I said, "We got a halt. It's a red light." And he said, "Oh, okay." And he crouched down next to me, and then he looked up, and then he slapped me on the shoulder. He said, "Okay, it's green. Let's go." And I jumped up, and we kept on running.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't remember any of this, but this is the story that was told to me after, and I'm pretty sure that also made it into the book. So I mean, there are a lot of little things like that that are just straight out of like my experience.
Awesome. And speaking of the book, I'm putting the link for everyone who wants to go and buy the book. And if I could spell the correctly, the book. And I'll also put it in the show notes. But everybody, go buy the book.
Oh, there it is.
And so I saw, like other people have been gushing about the cover art for this thing, and I really like the cover art for this thing. It's pretty sweet. Did you have a hand in designing that at all, or?
So I am an artist. I did the cover for my previous two books. I didn't do this cover. I did give like a brief for the cover, so like the portal in the background. And the two squaring off against each other and that sort of thing. I mean, I gave, yeah. So you can't see my mouse. I don't know why I'm using my mouse. But so the portal in the background there, just behind Ferga, that's the portal that Card uses to drop in as their kind of surprise element. And then you can see several of the researchers there dropping in through the portal. That's how they go in and reinforce the Rangers, who are actually... The Rangers go in via dropship, and so they are seen. They're a large group. They go in by the battalion, and they're a known entity. So like the Biofate, which is this organized crime ring, can always see them coming and set up defenses and things like that. And then Card, they open a portal and they drop right on top of them.
So how far into the future is this set?
I think at one point we had tried to come up with a year, and I think that I'm the one that actually ixnayed that and said, "Nah, let's not put an actual date on it." We had kind of figured somewhere around the 2500s originally. Oh, wow. Is just kind of what we were thinking, but then we decided, let's not even bother with a date, because a date doesn't add anything to the story. I mean, it's gone through a lot of iterations since we first came up with the idea. Like way back when we first came up with the idea, Card was going to be this mercenary unit, where in order to get into this group and become part of this special forces unit, you had to track down the unit. I mean, that's still a thing. But you had to track down the unit and then challenge one of them to single combat, and then you had to kill them. And if you killed them, then you're the newest member of their mercenary unit. I mean, it went through all kinds of developmental iterations before we settled on where we are right now.
Okay. So you're new to the family. Welcome.
Yes, very.
And so how did this come about? How did you find out about CKP, become a part of CKP?
Well, I knew about CKP, and I had read a bunch of their books. I was at a convention. I think that this happened in 2019, LibertyCon 2019. A friend of mine who's also an author, DJ Butler, decided that I needed to be introduced to Chris Kennedy, because he thought that my background and my writing style would be a good match for Chris Kennedy's background and publishing style. And he's got a whole stable of authors who, similarly come from military backgrounds, and they write similar stuff. And so he thought it would be a good fit. And I was just way too embarrassed, and I wasn't. He said, "Yeah, you should go introduce yourself," and I'm not a very social person, and so I wasn't ever going to, without any prodding or whatever, I was never going to do it. And so Butler literally grabbed me by the arm and dragged me through the convention floor and dragged me up to Chris Kennedy and said, "Hey, Chris, this is Chris. Chris, this is Chris. You guys should talk."
That sounds like Dave.
Yeah. And I was there going, yeah, hi, I'm Chris, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So and I let Chris Kennedy take the reins because I'm so I never know what to say or what to do or anything. I just kind of stand there and stare at the floor and go, okay, yeah, here I am. I don't know what to do now. Can I just go away and write a book or something?
Serious, sir. So you met in 2019.
Yeah, I think it was at LibertyCon 2019, I believe.
Which is a great shopping trip. I understand. LibertyCon, we get lots of fun authors from there and superstars and stuff like that, which is awesome. And LibertyCon's a great convention. It's so far it's one of my favorite because that's where I made the most friends. Was in the writing world was at LibertyCon, all the CKP people. So it's good for work, but it's also a good hang. So when you talked to Chris, did you just have the idea or had you already started writing the book?
So when I first talked to him, I had several manuscripts. And this manuscript let's say it was completed but not finished. Mm-hmm. If I can make that distinction there. Mm-hmm. This manuscript had been sitting on a back burner. We probably finished it, I don't know, in early to mid 2000s. Probably early 2000s. Like my first or second deployment, right around there, we finished it. And then it just kind of sat on a back burner and we never really did anything because I had other things on my mind. I had a new family, new kids, and I was constantly being deployed, maybe deployed, really deployed this time, got back, redeployed. Okay, well, get ready to be deployed. Oh, no, wait, you're not being deployed. Oh, yes, you are. No, you're not. Maybe stand by. And like, you can't do anything, right? Because you're just every day, maybe deployed, maybe not. And you just kind of sit around with your thumb up your butt, waiting for something to happen. And so when I first talked to him, there was actually a different manuscript that I had in mind that I pitched, and he said he wanted something else, and so I came back to this one. Mm-hmm. Now, this one needed a lot of work because I had actually finished it with my dad before I had any combat experience at all. And so I came back to it with the deployments and with the years of service under my belt. And I came back to it with a very different viewpoint. And I went through from beginning to end and just rewrote the entire thing. And it is almost unrecognizable compared to what it was before. Mm-hmm. And then I pitched that, and he gave me thumbs up. Yeah, that's great. But it was too long, and he said we need to cut it down a little bit. And so I started trimming, and just got to the point where I was just drawing blood, trying to get this thing down to size. And I said, this is arterial here, like we got spurters. I'm not sure how much more I can cut from this and still have a story. And so we flipped from there, from trying to cut this story down to size to instead fill it out and keep everything going. And that's how it became a series instead of just one big, thick, ridiculously expensive to publish book.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Chris's the series is a tribute to your tenacity. So good job. Plus, people love a series. So you hear that, folks? You won't have to wait too long, right, for the next book?
Yeah, you're not going to have to wait. I am not going to promise, like Kennedy's got the actual little green button, the launch button. Mm-hmm. But Book 2 is done and delivered, and book 3 is almost done. It will be done. It should have been done, but I had a week-long stay in the hospital for pancreatitis, and I'm still recovering from that. I don't have a lot of energy for like, sitting down and concentrating on things. I take like 2 naps a day these days, but it will be done absolutely, and it'll be out. It'll be right on the tail end of book 2.
Awesome. Now,
So this is not going to be a George R.R. Martin thing. I mean, I'm sorry to name drop here.
yeah.
I shouldn't have done that, but this is not going to be that sort of thing. It is done. I just need to, and book 2 is done and delivered. I just need to finish up with book 3 and finish the edits on that and get that delivered.
No, it's a good drop because everybody
single
knows
digit months. Seriously, single digit months, maybe single digit weeks. That's what we're looking at for book 3.
Awesome. Oh, wait, let's see. We've got the artist for the book cover. Really good job. Now, I know I say this every week, but the book covers that come out of CKP are really nice, and this one is no exception. I really like this book cover.
There you go. He said, "Stop commenting." There we go. Province of Danger, 26 May.
Ooh.
He said it's right about the middle of the screen, right there.
Where are you? Ah, there we go.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, 26th of May. So just a hair over a month. All right. So you basically kind of know the whole story, the beginning, the middle, the end.
Oh yeah.
It's just getting there. So now this is not your first attempt at writing. You've had other books published. And I think I have those
also law enforcement-ish. Yeah. Devils and Black Sheep and Thieves and Beggars is a duology. And that's about space pirates on one side and a law enforcement agent, a kind of a Elliot Ness style law enforcement agent who's trying to take down the space pirates.
Awesome. Yeah, these look pretty cool too. So when did those come out?
I'm gonna say January of 2019 and April, I think, of 2019.
Okay.
I believe.
So prior to this, because I did a little research on you, and I saw one of your bios where you're were a game designer.
Yeah. So I've been a lot of things, not particularly successful at most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was a game designer. I formed a game design company. I designed, I think, 13 games. And then weirdly, I mean, timing just worked out. I mean, I had a lot of offers to buy the game company. I was holding some contracts for game design for other authors, and there was some value to the company, a lot more than I thought there was, I guess. And then I sold the company to a guy in Australia who really wanted to just go gangbusters with it, and offered me what I thought was a ridiculous amount. But whatever. So I sold it and walked away in 2019, and then COVID happened. And there's a part of me that feels bad for dropping those bags on them right as COVID hit. But there's also a part of me that's like, well, I got out from under that just in time.
Yeah. But you had a fair number of games under your company, right?
Yeah, so I had let's see, Lord of the Dead, Templar Mech, Star Patrol, Carrier Commander, Devils and Black Sheep. Devils and Black Sheep was actually a game before it was a book, and it was Kevin J. Anderson offered to publish a book based on the game, and that's how the book came out. and Shadow Agents. And then I did some game design for other companies. Those were the games that I published myself, threw them up on Kickstarter, and published them myself. And yeah, I mean, it was successful beyond anything that I honestly even suspected. Like, you know, there were games that I was making between 20 and 25,000 off of, and I never ever expected it to be that successful. So I count that as a feather in my cap, and probably karma that I'm going to have to repay at some point. You know, the karma police are going to come and level a 357 Magnum at my face at some point and say, "Hey, you got karma to pay back here."
Oh, well, congratulations on that. And so I think we've got another update here. Tentative July 14th release. But you haven't even turned in the third book yet, right?
Well, no. So hang on. He has the manuscript for the third book, but it needs work.
Okay.
So the third book, it is finished from completed. It's completed from beginning to end, but not finished. Though it needs work, and I'm still working on it. So this is not one of those, oh, I'm laser focused on it, you know, while I'm on vacation in Namibia, you know, on a 4-wheeler riding the dunes or anything like that. It is from beginning to end. I have the ending completely written and everything in between, but it needs a lot of polish. So that's all that's going on right now. The ending is there.
Awesome. So you've done a lot in your life. You were in the military, you've done game design. Now you're a writer. When did you know that you wanted to be a writer? Is this a childhood thing, or or is it recent, or?
Define writer. I have.
Oh, you're published.
I have written stories. The earliest story that I can remember writing, I was in 5th grade. And I don't remember why I wrote it, but that was really when I started. And I wrote this story about a monster who was really lonely and he wanted friends. And there was another monster that he knew of nearby, lived in the forest or whatever. And he thought, hey, we're both monsters. We can just be friends. And so he kept running up to this other monster and waving at him and trying to say hello, to introduce himself. And this other monster would always go, oh, my God, it's a monster. And he would always run away. And so the whole story was this one monster chasing this other monster, trying to introduce himself and say, hey, we should be friends because we're both monsters. And and the other monster was just running away all the time. And that's as far as I can remember, that's the very first story that I wrote. I wouldn't describe myself as somebody who ever wanted to be a writer. I would describe myself as somebody who writes just nonstop because I can't stand not to write. If I wasn't a writer, like before I ever had anything published, I had like 20 manuscripts in development because I would sit down and my fingers would start moving and ideas would flow out of my brain and onto paper back in the day. Nowadays, it's onto a computer file. And even if it's something that never gets published, the ideas just flow out, scenes flow out, and it's a constant thing. I keep notebooks with me in my back pocket, and every once in a while, like on a plane or on a bus or just sitting somewhere doing nothing, I'll pull out my notebook and start writing. Oh, hey, this idea for a scene just kind of came to me. And I do the same with my phone. I'm constantly writing down these ideas for things, not with any intent of getting it published or becoming a writer, but just because I can't stand to not do it.
Well, that's also it sounds like a good problem to have. So you were saying earlier that this series was a series that you started. Well, you had the idea of back in the 90s.
Yeah, late 90s. Yeah,
and you revisited it, and now it's a published work, and it's going to continue to. It's going to be an entire series. How are there any other things in the vault that we might see down the road that you might try to revisit?
Oh, I mean, so let's see. You're asking about manuscripts that I have in development right now?
Or ideas, or
Yeah.
just
So
stuff that you want to see on paper, you know?
one, so there are a couple that are like near and dear to my heart. One of them is I have titled it Incenti ad Infernum, which means homeward to hell, and it follows a more or less a search and rescue group whose job is to descend into hell and find souls who are not meant to be there but have been captured by demons and taken to hell, and their job is to go into hell, find this soul, and return them to the physical world. So they're you can call them, whatever, special forces or rangers or PJs or whatever, um, joint task force, but that's their job. And it it is a psychological job as much as it's a physical job. I mean, a lot of people really celebrate the physicality of special operation forces, and when you're descending into hell, and hell is a malleable thing according to what each individual person believes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of psychology in that, because they can't work the same way that they do in the physical world, when to each of them hell is a different place, that they perceive it as a different place. And there is, because they don't belong in hell, there is a constant push, a physical and psychological push, trying to force them out of hell, almost like they have a giant rubber band on them. And the further they get through the breach between the physical world and hell, the further in they get, and the more that rubber band stretches, and the harder it is to push further in. But yeah, that's one that I've been working on.
I've watched that movie.
And that's probably the one that to me is the most important in terms of getting things out of my head and onto paper.
Awesome, man. That's uh, I love it. I love it when you hear a story. Somebody wrote something when they were 12 and it was shit, but then they went and they revisited it and they turned it into this, big, huge masterpiece. From because they have all this new life experience. Um, so we have a question from the audience. How many notebooks have you filled, and have you kept them from way back when?
I have probably 5 or 6. Yeah, probably maybe 7 notebooks, and I started keeping them when I was about 21 or 22 or so. I used to do them in composition books, like the old elementary school black and white modeled composition books,
Mm-hmm.
big gigantic things. They're like this big. And then I took them and actually transcribed them into the Federal Supply Service, the like light green notebooks that you get by the millions, which
Mm-hmm.
are like little books about this big,
Mm-hmm.
hardcovers. Do I have any in here? I don't think I do in here. Nope. But they're approximately this size. But obviously they're not a Nintendo controller. And I have 6 or 7 of those filled with various story ideas. Oh wait, here's one. I got it there. This one right here. And
Oh yeah,
anybody who's ever spent any time, they'll be like, oh yeah, those. Yeah, I had however many of those. Yeah,
yeah. I
so
have one of those at work. Yeah.
I've got these all filled up, all sorts of just notes and notes and notes, all sorts of stuff in there. Yeah, tons of them.
Well, people are very interested in your search and rescue from hell. Um, Melissa, shut up and take my money. Sold. I'm up for that.
I want to see the cover art for it. Is what I want.
That's what I'm screaming.
So it's Doom if Doom Guy was part of a team.
And say, hey Melissa, should we tell them it's a trilogy? Make it so. All right. Well, good. No, well, you've already got fans. That's good. So before we get out of here, I can you give like you're selling this book, and what's your elevator pitch to get people to read it? Not to put you on the spot.
I would take the book and turn it around, and I'd read the blurb.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I am not a salesman. I really am not. My elevator pitch would be if somebody was standing in front of me asking why they should buy my book, my elevator pitch would mostly be
And so let me get back to you in a week. Yeah.
Yeah. Check out the cover art. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wrote it.
Yeah. So I know you're recovering from a hospital stay. Or is there any chance that we're gonna see you in the wild, and where might that be?
Yeah, I'll be at LibertyCon this year. Check my let me check my brain. I have to consult. I'm juggling surgeries and martial arts seminars and conventions here. So LibertyCon will be the first literary convention. And that's June 23, 24, 25. And then Salt Lake Comic-Con, September 21, 22, 23. Yeah, those two I'm booked into.
Well, you just made this interview longer. You're talking about martial arts seminars. What's that about?
Oh, I practice a number of martial arts, and I do some traveling for them. So Filipino stick fighting, Arnis, Modern Arnis, if you know what that is. And in fact, I think there's on my Facebook, I think one of the most recent posts has a picture of me in the background frowning. I don't know. I look like a bouncer or something because I'm holding my stick like this and I'm going, and I really wasn't angry or anything like that. I was just watching the instructor do something. And I practice also some Japanese swordsmanship. I have six katana. I guess I could have sent you a picture of like some ribbon cutting and that sort of thing.
Is there anywhere online people could see you compete, or?
I don't like I spar practice, but I don't compete in competition. I am way too old and busted to let other people like pound me into the ground. If I did that, like if I was rolling with somebody, BJJ, I would step into the ring and I'd immediately tap, or just yell from across the ring, tap. I mean, I wouldn't even physically tap. I would just yell at them from like 20 feet away, tap.
Well, so do you do demonstrations and stuff?
No. Just honestly learning and practice and sparring. And I go to seminars, but I don't go to competitions. Okay. Nothing that's going to like mess me up physically. I am way too busted up to be dealing with even more tears and rips and shreds and everything else.
Yeah. I was in Taekwondo for a while in my mid to late 30s, and then I was like, it's good to stay in shape, and they wanted me to compete, and I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't. It's like I'm hurt bad enough. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. There comes a point where you're doing 5 martial arts and you think it's pretty cool. Yeah, doing the 5 different martial arts, and then you get to the point where you're like, I think I should probably back off and maybe just do 4. and then you're doing BJJ on Mondays, and you're doing Pinjock Sealot on Tuesdays, and you're doing your katana thing on Wednesdays, and like every single day I walk into one dojo or another, I'm like, oh my god, I just don't feel like doing this. I am so sore from like 2 days ago. Maybe I should just do one a week or something like that.
Yeah. It's like it hurts.
Yeah, it does, and it's like a perpetual hurt.
Yeah, yes, Wilson.
Yeah.
Tap.
Yeah, that would be me. I am such a wimp that way. I tap early and tap often.
Oh, yeah, it's because my twin brother, he's a good looking guy about this tall, and he does Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and it takes, and he's practiced for a while, and it takes nothing for him to just wrap me up in a pretzel, because I'm like, no, I give up, I'm done.
Yeah.
So also speaking, call back to the gaming, you have a YouTube channel.
Oh yes, for people who have kids that they don't understand, who sit around for hours a day watching other people play video games. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel where you can also waste hours a day watching me play. Yep, there I am. And right now, so I've done a bunch of first-time playthroughs for various games. Never played the game before, and I tell people, hey, I don't have a clue what this game is, but somebody sent me a free game download thing, and so I'm going to try it out, and I'm going to film myself trying it out. And a lot of them are me just going, what the hell am I doing here? Like, what is this? Is this a game? This is not a game. This is guided tapping. Tap here, tap there, tap here, tap there. This is not a game. But the longest running playlist or whatever sequence, I don't know what it's called, that I have there is I'm doing a Diablo 2 hardcore run on 8-player difficulty with no gear. So I've got a character who's not wearing any armor and who is using no weapons at all, and it's a single player game, and I have the difficulty dialed to as if it was 8 players teamed up. And then hardcore just means that it's permadeath. You don't die and then magically reappear in town and go running out.
So for those who are into gaming, and it's funny because I'll hear kids that will watch somebody play a video game for hours and hours.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But I mean, just go to Twitch. That's mostly what Twitch is, so go check them out. And I hear we were talking earlier, and you said there will be a website eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I keep thinking about it, and I keep starting to say, okay, well, I'll do like, I don't know, like a csferguson.com or something like that. I keep intending to, but then something or another happens. I get distracted by life, and it hasn't happened. At some point, I'll pull my head out of my butt and actually do it. I don't know what the website will be by that point. I mean, people are going to hear this, and then all of the cyber campers, the squatters, are going to squat on csferguson.com now and then say, nah, $15,000, and you can have this URL.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. All right. So sorry.
But yeah, eventually at some point I'll get my head screwed on straight and do that, and have some kind of a internet headquarters for whatever weird thing I decide to do this month.
All right. For now, for people watching now and into the future, go check him out and follow him on Amazon. Bug him on Facebook. And but before we leave, I'm going to let's see, get healthy first. Yes, Maya. Get yourself taken care of. So before we leave, I'm going to go through my my ads real quick. Of course, this and every episode is brought to you by Chris Kennedy Publishing. Go check out the website. You can buy the books from the website. All your literary needs, military, sci-fi, space opera, fantasy, urban fantasy, you name it, they've got it. Check it out. Go check out their Patreon, And if you want to support this show and Chris Kennedy Publishing, you get cool stuff like CKP Confidential and other goodies. And another thing, if you go to chriskennedypublishing.com, sign up for the newsletter. Any author, I say it every episode, any author that you like, and you go to their website, if they have a newsletter, sign up for it. It's where you can get the most up-to-date news for that author or that publisher, and you get free cool stuff and like books and things like that. So go check them out. As far as the YouTube channel, we have our other podcasts on this channel. Is Future Books. The latest episode is our good buddy Melissa Olthoff, talking about her latest book. Go check that out. You can also catch this podcast anywhere where you catch podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you name it. And again, go buy the book, buy the book, buy the book. And a little bit more of a free plug. So this channel is going to be coming up with some new content coming up. You should see it within the next month or so, next couple of weeks. We've got CKP Last Call, which is going to be a number of CKP authors getting together, let's say high on life, maybe a drink or two, and pitching books. And then we have the upcoming Feral Ladies of CKP, because let's face it, we all became a little feral during the pandemic, and they're going to be on there, and that's going to be Melissa Olthoff, Marisa Wolf, Casey Ezel to start out with, and they just get on there and talk mad shit. So it's going to be fun. So check that out. That'll be coming out pretty soon. And then last but not least, let's help out some buddies. Some associated YouTube channels. We got Casey Ezel's Rider Life. Go check her out. Joy Wandry and Mark Wandry on World Maker Books, where they're doing a lot of reads of Mark Wandry's older books. And then a little bit of nepotism. Marisa Wolf, go check out her channel. We're going to be starting putting stuff out, a little bit more stuff out there. For those of you who don't know, Marisa Wolf is my wife. And that is all. Everyone, thank you for coming. Chris, I hope you feel better, man. I appreciate you coming on. It was real nice talking to you, and I'm excited for you. I'm glad you finally got your 20-something-year-old manuscript printed. Congratulations on that. Congratulations on the orange tag. That's a big deal.
Thanks.
And we look forward to a lot more from you. And it sounds like the search and rescue from hell is a go. So get hot on that. But with that said, again, Chris, thank you. Thank you to the audience. Without you, we wouldn't be here. So I really appreciate it. And thank you to Chris Kennedy Publishing for having us. And with that, we will see you next time.